Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Stock Market Brief. This is where we do analysis on the overall market, S&P 500 QQQ, as well as the Mag 7s. And we'll be looking at a couple of data as well. And this week's main theme is, are we going to be bouncing here? Or is this going to be a longer term downside, maybe confirming weekly downtrend? Or is this a good buying opportunity? So let's take a look at the data real quick, and then we'll come back to the charts. All right, so Fear and Greed Index, we're currently sitting at extreme fear. So this may be a potential buying opportunity, as well as a AI some data at 60.6%. We get this every Wednesday, and this has been the most bearish it's ever been in a very, very long time. We haven't seen this maybe a year plus or two. So yeah, most market participants are extremely bearish at this given moment, and we'll have to take a look at the chart to see if we're gonna get any bounces. And as of earnings, not a lot for me to look at this week other than Costco and Broadcom for me. AVGO might move the market in terms of the semiconductor sector, potentially. Obviously not as much Nvidia, but overall. MRVL will also be a semiconductor name as well. And if you guys are playing the Chinese sector, JD.com would be something you guys to look at. Target and Best Buy might give us more into retail, same as Costco. So it's a retail week. And as of data wise, that might move the market. We have a lot of econ data actually this week. So these will all move the market because we are currently in a recession fear. Part of this drop was a little bit of a recession fear as well. So these data will definitely move the market if it comes in bad. So, get an ADP on payroll comes in a lot lower, or a PMI comes in a lot lower. These would definitely tank the market. But if it comes in good, maybe it'll give us a relief bounce overall. And unemployment rate definitely, and non-farm payroll for sure as well. Let's take a look at the charts. All right, so let's start with the Qs first. Then we'll go to the SPY, and then we'll take a look at the Mag 7s. And if you guys are looking for commodities update, I'll do that tomorrow. So let's get started with Qs. So Qs pretty much just right. We came down to this value area high. This is the blue line of the structure, and we also back test of the prior all-time high. So this July 2024 high was prior all-time high. It's a very important structure for me, and we pretty much back test its value high, as well as we actually closed above it. So that's a good sign for me, right? You don't want to close below a prior all-time high structure. And then with pretty much this level, right? You can see this level reacting as well to it, and the bottom. So for now, the question is, can we get bounce back above a little bit higher than we are from here? Right? This is just a, relief bounce, right? It's still currently in a 4-hour downtrend, and this could just very well reject from this level here and then go lower in continuation of the 4-hour downtrend, right? Similar as here. This is a big bounce, right? From the bottom of this bounce to the top of this bounce, it was 2% bounce, right? And then we ended up going nowhere and went lower low. So same question. Is this bounce going to be different, or just a lower high bounce? Right? So first step for me is get over the EMA 12s, right? You can see clearly this teal looking line is EMA 12 on the 4-hour. Rejection over here 3 times. And reject. We haven't really tested here. We're kind of just under it. So let's see if we can get over it. First step for me, get over that. And then gain enough space, come from 4-hour uptrend. Then we are back, potentially looking up closer to 522 for me. If we can do that, maybe we'll form get big enough bounce. Say Monday we get another more follow through. Then we're looking potentially for this inverse head and shoulders look. That may shape up as well. If we could pull back, on Tuesday, and then we shape up that 4-hour uptrend. Boom. Then we're potentially back to 521. Yeah. And then if that happens, we get a 4-hour uptrend from here. Then we're just looking at range bound. Market's going to continue to go sideways if that does happen. But I gotta say though, this drop is definitely a lot more systematic compared to all these. These are just flushes, right? Like these 1-2 day flushes, and then that's it. Same thing here, all these news drop. This is more like more of a systematic selling, right? You get these grinds, slow grind down, and then get these small bounces kind of along the way and overall. And so this time's a little bit different for sure. So we got to be cautious here. So let's say we get a week. Let's zoom out here. So we get a week. Let's say we get a weekly bounce here, right? It's a big weekly drop. So a weekly bounce wouldn't surprise me, right? Which 8% drop. So let's say we bounce back here, get a weekly bounce going, and then confirms a weekly downtrend. That's also possible. So we want to be cautious here. So we want to see how this bounce ends up shaping up. If it's a weak bounce, you got to be very cautious, right? If it could be a weekly bull flag, bear flag. So keep an eye watching that, because if that happens, this whole thing is a distribution zone, right? If we start confirming a weekly downtrend, crack through this low, this week's low, yeah, that means we're below this whole entire structure, and this whole structure is a distribution zone, and that's not a good thing. Yeah, that's how 2021 bear market started. So be key on watching that. But this daily bounce is pretty strong, right? We did reacted off this level as well and close above July prior all-time highs. So that is the first good sign for bulls. Overall, at this moment, the Qs are still a lot weaker, but if you take a look at the SPY, right, it's not that bad, to be honest. Right, so we had a big drop, right, close to 5%, and now it's only we got a 2% bounce. So we're only 3% off all-time highs. Honestly, it's not that much fear for me. Overall, see resistance, and then reject it from there. Support. Now it's back testing it. So if we come back and bounce back above, similar idea. Maybe inverse head and shoulders here. We just need to bounce a little bit higher. And at the same time, XLF and XLV was just ripping on Friday. So if you take a look at XLF, right, would you be a bear trying to run in SPY if we are literally just under all-time high? This could be a triple top, but at the same time, right, this is the highest we kind of closed at the moment, right? We ripped like 2% right into close, and something like this, if this breaks to all-time highs, financial sector, which is a big weighting in SPY, then we're probably looking back up close to the high office range for SPY. Right, if one of the major sectors in SPY is hitting new all-time highs and getting a follow through, then we're probably not going to have much more downside on the SPY. For Q is a little bit different, obviously, right? The weakest, this whole entire drop this week was mostly semiconductors and Qs this week in NASDAQ. So, and because, right, you can see XLF, which is the healthcare care sector, is another major sector in SPY. Look at holding up this well, right? This whole week, this whole week was starting from, we did have drop here and here, right? Wednesday and Thursday was red day, but you can see on Monday it was green, on Friday it was green, back to where it was. So really not much downside for XLF this week, and it's looking like it wants to break above this level, right? Tested here. Try to get over on Monday, but then we had this huge drop, right? Monday through Thursday, every single day, red day, and they held up really well. And now with Friday, it's coming back up to wanting to break out. So we break about this triple top, quadruple top, whatever you call it, right? Then we're looking up closer to 150. So, right, with XLF, if it breaks the all-time high, obviously it's currently triple top as well. And XLV, keeping an eye on watch on this, if it all breaks out, then SPY is probably making it one more leg up, in my opinion. So let's go back to SPY. Yeah, so most of the drop is coming from the Qs, and obviously Qs, XLK, which is the tech sector, is weighted 30% in SPY, so obviously it's the biggest. But if you have the other sectors holding up, where you're not going to get a lot of drop from SPY overall, that's why it's only 3% from all-time high, versus the Qs is currently, right, 6.3% from all-time high. So even if the Q just gets another little bit leg up, and with XLF, SLV much higher, SPY is likely coming back up to test the 600 mark again, level for me, a psychological resistance overall. But similar idea. I want to see a 4-hour uptrend confirm for me overall, and then come back to back test these prior levels. X600 for sure. It's going to be the resistance first. A lot of reactions around that level, right? This 599 to 600 level. This zone right here. So we'll see if we can get over that. If we can get over that, then we're looking back at all-time highs. Let's see how much XLF gets fall through, right? It may just tank on Monday, right? For all we know, it's a triple top at this moment, right? So keep an eye on that as well. Same thing with XLV. But let's take a look at the rest of the Mag 7s to give us more clues to see if the Qs are going to bounce, right? If Qs are definitely the biggest weightings. So if Q bounces, market's going to bounce. All right, let's take a look at Meta. So Meta here, no reflex really for me at the moment, right? Big drop. I talked about this one, I think, over last week here. I was saying it's still okay as long as we hold above this prior zone, right? Meta is pretty much the only one that's looking okay, actually. Actually, Apple is pretty good, but right, prior resistance, very clear. Resistance on this trend line as well, right? Resistance, breakout, back test. So we're just back testing where we break out from. So there's no real overhead supply at this moment. So no huge red flags for me. And these two wicks, right, were pretty much just a back test of the prior structure. Now the back test is showing us it's acting as demand, so it's fine. So no signs of red flags at this moment, and we are looking just like a tiny range, big up, big move down, and then let's see if it continues to tighten up, and then breaks above. If it breaks above, then we're looking at a bigger tightening range, big move up, big move down, right? If it breaks above, then we're looking at something like this for me. That'd be the best case for bulls to just tighten up at near all-time highs for more potential fuel for whichever side wants to break. But right now, it's no red flags for me. Just back testing prior demand and bounce from there. So this is what we would call a red flag. At the moment, we pretty much gave back this entire breakout. We're just back testing where we came from. Yeah. So you can see there's really no volume here, right, in this entire breakout. And obviously here is the entire where we broke out from that we consolidate for many, many months. So that's where all the volume is at. And now we came all the way back to it. And it's acting as just first day bounce with the market. Although it did bounce more in the market, does make sense, right? We literally dropped. It dropped more than the market too. So when it bounced, it's higher beta name. We didn't fill the gap, so that's good. Because nobody wants any bulls would probably be pretty sad to see if we get to 520 from 360. So the idea is that pretty much we're still in daily downtrend. I talked about this last week. I said if we crack through this low, we're likely going to 300. If we crack the 300, we're probably going to come down to closer to 277, which we did. It's unfortunate for the bulls, but definitely bears got a huge win here. And we didn't know this bounce is nothing compared to, right? No signs of any real change yet at this moment for me, right? If you look at this, this bounce was even bigger, but there's no change, 12%. For me, I want to see at least confirm a 4-hour uptrend from here and get a clear break above the 4-hour EMA 12. Right, you can see rejection. Tried to act as support here. Rejection. And then didn't really act as support, and then we rolled over. So I want to see a big enough bounce, at least. Potentially confirm 4-hour uptrend back to at least test this 324. See if we can get over this pivot. You can see bulls try to hold it here, right? And then once they couldn't hold it, it just flushed through it. The overall market needs to bounce as well. My Qs has been super weak. Tesla's been weaker than the Qs, so hence this bigger drop. So if the Qs start to strengthen up, I want to see Tesla gets a big bounce as well. But for now, absolute bear control, right? But I wouldn't be shorting down here, obviously, after this 43% drop. It's not really that good of a risk reward anymore down here. Risk reward is leaning more towards the bull side at this moment. So yeah, so let's we come back to test the 328 for bulls. For bears, you want to see this bounce for a couple of days, and then back test around this 300 to 314, and then roll over again and make a lower low, and then fill this gap to 248. That'd be best case for you guys. For bulls, get a big enough bounce, and then get a shallow pullback, back test here, and then try to come back and crack through here, back into above the structure around this 340 zone. That would be the best case for you guys. All right, so let's take a look at Amazon. So Amazon is slightly below. Let's go to the 4-hour, two structures. So, right, we are now below list level and list level. And so it's not as good a look as Meta, right? You can see Meta just kind of came back above and back tested and bounced. But Amazon broke below both structures. So now these structures would want to act as supply. So which it did, right? Very clear supply zone right here on Thursday. Came up, back test this level. Right there, low of this level, reject, and tanked, which I think the whole market tanked on Thursday. So no surprises here. But we made a higher low. So this low is higher than prior low. So now we have a potential chance of backtesting this level again. So if we come up, break above Thursday's high, and come from a daily uptrend back to its favor, right? Low, higher low, higher high. That's a daily uptrend. If we can break above Thursday's high, then we're looking back up to test the low of this structure. So we'll come back, probably test around this 227 zone for me, if we can break above Thursday's high. For bears, you want this to just be a big daily, weekly bear flag here. Bounce, don't break above Thursday's high, come back again, and tighten up and get a bear break on that. So that's what bears are looking for. If we get that happen, then market's probably breaking weekly supports as well. So keep an eye on that. And Google, probably due for a bounce, but it's extremely weak. See the whole market bounces and Google bounces 1% after a 19% drop. It bounced 1%, so it's still relatively weak overall compared to anything really. Daily oversold, right? We haven't had daily oversold in a long time. The last time our daily oversold was over here. I got a big bounce. So let's see if we get a more follow through here, right, in the market. So personally, I would say we're probably going to bounce at least a few more days, right? If the bear is going to take this lower, they probably want to cool things off too. Get a lower high bounce and then lower low. But overall, my opinion is we probably come back to 175 at least. And then we'll see where it goes. Pretty much this whole structure here is now distribution zone, right? Earnings, boom, gap right below this entire structure. This is how many days we backtest, backtest for a whole week, right? The low of this structure is the high of this candle, and then rolled over, right? Every single backtest was rejected, and then we rolled over this entire week with the whole market. Now we're just coming back to here. This is that key zone I talked about exactly last week, where we'll come to. Right, resistance, support, breakout. Finally, now it's backtesting again. Yeah, we're much weaker for sure below all these structures now. We'll see. We'll come back. So we can come back to this 177 zone for the bounces. Microsoft. Okay, so main trade, right? Talk about this for, I don't know, months, years. And we just touched the bottom of the range again. It's the weekly chart, so, right? Perfectly range trade again. So we'll see. We bounces to come back. Maybe we'll come back up to closer to 429, but it's still pretty pretty darn weak. It's just the first day of the bounce at this moment. No signs of much follow through either. We only got a 1% bounce. Let's see. I mean, it's a 2.4% bounce from the lows, but it's a 1% day, green day. So for me, right, break it back above this red line where we rejected over time many times, right? Support, support, support. Broke through it. Resistance first time, second time resistance, 2-time rejection, and then rolled over to the low of the support. Now we're back down to bouncing from the bottom of the range. So let's see if we can come back up to test this 417 again for me, for bulls. For bears, super clear, right? Break below that triple bottom on the weekly range of the range. For bears, as for bulls, defend that range and bounce back to the middle of the range. And then see where we goes. So for me, it's a lot of the names are pretty much right. These tech names are all at the bottom of the range. So I wouldn't be too bearish here. If we're gonna get like a big flush in the market, we're gonna at least bounce slightly first for maybe some kind of a bear flag before we flush, right? So at least early next week, I'll be a little bit more on the bull side overall, because right, how much lower can Google really go at this moment? Right, and same thing with, same thing with Amazon, right? We're due for a little bit of a bounce. Same thing with Microsoft. So even if we just get like a 2-3% bounce, a couple of days, right? Whole market's gonna bounce. If all these guys bounce 2-3%, Qs are gonna be up at least 2-3%. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, this could flush lower, and then this breaks this weekly support, and then this breaks the support as well. But the most likely scenario here, if we come straight off from the top to the support zone, we're gonna get at least some kind of even if it's a shallow bounce, it'll be a decent one. And then we have Apple, right, holding decently well too in this tiny range, picking up, picking down, go up. It's just still tightening up. It's no red flags here either, right? I think this is a clear support here. Let's see. Count this as tiny range. It's in support. Let's see, just continue to tighten up. As long as Apple holds up, it's fine. Apple doesn't need to break new all-time highs. Every other guy can bounce. And as long as Apple goes sideways, market's gonna bounce. So no signs of red flags for me for Apple. The only structure we are underneath is this all-time high structure, right? And a little bit here, but that's not a real structure for me at this moment. This is the all-time high structure. So no signs of red flags for me at Apple. And Nvidia. So obviously this is what tanked the market on Thursday. And talk about this rejection as well. Super clear resistance that we had here, right? Rejection, 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 rejection. Whole week here. And then we had the earnings. Initial bullish reaction. Back test the low of this structure. This high was the low of this structure, right? Boom. And then it said just kidding. And we had like this 8%, like 10% drop or something. Okay, 14%. 14%, it was green, right? So then it ended up being red. So 14% from drop right into support, 116. Again, right? Bounce, 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 weekly support. Support, prior support, support. So a lot of reactions in 116, clearly, right? Last time it dropped here from that DeepSeek bearish news. This is the level we bounce off of as well. So to the tick, pretty much. But we're not out of the woods, right? Big bounce. Let's see if we can confirm for our uptrend. What I want to see is come back to at least test this. It's 130 to 131 zone again. This is a very clear level where it reacted multiple times as well. 131 to 130 zone. So Nvidia is pretty much bigger picture range trade as well. So Nvidia comes up to test this 131, right? It's a 5% bounce. 5% bounce. Nvidia, Apple holding okay. Microsoft temporary bounce, even if this is a weak one. Google, let's say, is a weak bounce too, comes up to here. And Amazon, say we get a weak bounce and don't even break the Thursday high, right? And same thing, Meta, weak bounce here. Then market's probably going to make one more leg up, at least 1 to 2%. And then we'll see where it goes, right? If this could be a tiny range and the bear breaks, right, we could go lower for all we know. But for now, same thing, right? This could bounce here and then go lower. So we'll see how. But for me, at least for now, especially with SPY, I'm probably more bull on SPY than overall because of the XLF, XLV. XLF just literally ran underneath all-time high. We make like 0.2% up, we're going to be all-time highs. So if I'm going to key watch, it's definitely XLF. XLF breaks new all-time highs and follow through, then I'm definitely not going to be a bear at all in SPY. You could be a bear a little bit more like on IWM or Qs. You wouldn't really be a bear on Qs if XLF really breaks above, because the sentiment would kind of shift. But overall, so let's see. A lot of key levels we're testing at, sitting right at resistance, and so we'll see if we can break out, and a lot of supports on the Qs. So we'll see if we bounce from there. If you guys got any questions, feel free to comment below, and I'll do the commodities update tomorrow. And if you guys want to learn more about technical analysis, go to the Patreon link for one-on-ones. Or if you guys want to learn more about it, then go to that free, book that 15-minute free call. We can talk more about it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.